On March 11, 2025, tragedy struck the Jaffa Express, a passenger train traveling from Quetta to Peshawar. As the train journeyed through the desolate landscape of the Bolan district in Balochistan, it came under a ferocious attack. Militants, armed with sophisticated weaponry, ambushed the train at tunnel number 8. The attackers, suspected to be members of the Baloch Liberation Army, unleashed a hail of gunfire and explosives, turning the train journey into a nightmare for the hundreds of passengers on board. The attack began without warning, plunging the train into chaos and terror. Passengers screamed in fear as bullets ripped through the carriages. Many dove for cover, desperately seeking shelter from the onslaught. The train, once a symbol of connectivity and hope, became a terrifying trap. Initial reports suggested over 100 passengers were taken hostage, including women and children. The militants, taking advantage of the remote location and difficult terrain, seized control of several carriages. The attack on the Jaffa Express sent shockwaves throughout Pakistan, highlighting the persistent security challenges faced by the nation. This brazen act of terrorism served as a grim reminder of the vulnerability of civilians and the long reach of militant groups operating within the country. The incident sparked widespread condemnation and calls for swift action against those responsible. The BLA, in a chilling statement released shortly after the attack, claimed responsibility for the assault. They declared that they had taken control of the train and were holding numerous passengers hostage. Their demands were stark: the release of their imprisoned comrades in exchange for the lives of the innocent men, women, and children in their custody. The hostage situation gripped the nation, prompting frantic appeals from families desperate for the safe return of their loved ones. The BLA, designated as a terrorist organization by Pakistan, the United States, and the United Kingdom, has been waging a violent insurgency for the independence of Balochistan. This resource-rich province, bordering Afghanistan and Iran, has been the epicenter of a long-running conflict rooted in ethnic, political, and economic grievances. The BLA, primarily composed of Baloch nationalists, has targeted Pakistani security forces, government installations, and symbols of the state's authority. Among the hostages were women and children, separated from their families and facing an uncertain fate. The militants, using the hostages as bargaining chips, made it clear that they were prepared to engage in protracted negotiations with the Pakistani government. They vowed to continue holding the hostages captive until their demands were met, raising the stakes and intensifying the pressure on the authorities. The Pakistani government found itself facing a complex and volatile crisis. The attack, occurring in the volatile province of Balochistan, presented a significant challenge to the government's writ and security apparatus. The Prime Minister, in a televised address to the nation, condemned the attack in the strongest possible terms. He vowed that his government would not negotiate with terrorists and that the perpetrators would be brought to justice. Security forces comprising army commandos and paramilitary units were immediately deployed to the site of the attack. They established a cordon around the train, aiming to contain the situation and prevent further loss of life. The rough terrain and the militants' use of hostages as human shields made the rescue operation exceedingly difficult, posing significant risks to both the hostages and the security personnel involved. Adding to the complexity of the situation was the BLA's proven ability to blend into the local population, exploiting their knowledge of the terrain to their advantage. The Pakistani government, wary of being seen as giving in to terrorist demands, faced a delicate balancing act, ensuring the safety of the hostages while simultaneously upholding the principles of law and order. The attack on the Jaffa Express presented a critical test for the Pakistani state, forcing it to confront the enduring challenge of terrorism within its borders. The attack on the Jaffa Express brought the long-simmering Balochistan insurgency back into the spotlight. Balochistan, Pakistan's largest but least developed province, has been plagued by violence and instability for decades. The Baloch people, who make up the majority in the province, have long accused the central government of exploiting their resources while neglecting their economic and social development. This sense of marginalization and resentment has fueled the insurgency, leading to a cycle of violence that has claimed countless lives. The BLA, formed in the 1970s, is the most prominent of the Baloch separatist groups. It has carried out numerous attacks on Pakistani security forces, government installations and infrastructure projects, seeking to pressure the government into granting Balochistan greater autonomy, or even independence. The group's ideology is rooted in Baloch nationalism, with a strong emphasis on self-determination and control over their land and resources. The attack on the Jafar Express, with its targeting of civilians, marked a dangerous escalation in the Balochistan conflict. It demonstrated the BLA's increasing audacity and its willingness to employ increasingly brutal tactics to achieve its goals. The attack also raised concerns about the group's evolving capabilities, particularly its access to sophisticated weaponry and its ability to gather intelligence and plan complex operations. The incident served as a stark reminder of the intractable nature of the Balochistan conflict and the challenges it poses to peace and stability in the region.